Hello and welcome to this brand new video where we look together in detail at the results of the June Trader of the Month contest. As usual, we will not only look at the statement of the student who performed the best overall, but also have a look at the performances of those who did not win but still achieved respectable results that may provide us with valuable trading insights and ideas for our live trading. One of the coaches at the Younger Academy here, and I want to remind you that the Trader of the Month contest is reserved exclusively for Younger Academy students. Each month they can participate by submitting their live results and competing to win a €1,000 Amazon voucher. Now, before we begin, as always, I invite you to please support us by subscribing to our channel, clicking on the notification bell, and leaving a like to this video as well. Thank you. Okay, so let's start with a statement of Claudio, who in June earned $34,862,000 with a return of 18% on the capital on his account and a drawdown of only 7.4%. Well done, Claudio. This is a remarkable achievement. Let's also look at the equity line, which I have to say is very smooth. If it had not been for the last drawdown that disturbed the performance a little bit, it might have been a different story. Anyway, Claudio, congratulations. One doesn't see results like this every month. Excellent job. Let us move on and look at the results of Enrico, who earned €23,862 with a return of 9.17% on his account and a very low drawdown of 4.49%. I have to say that the performance is pretty consistent here as well. And again, there was a drawdown that Enrico recovered by the end of the month. This performance is really interesting. Enrico was very kind, and I was able to reach him by phone even though he was on vacation. And he also confessed to me that he had an actual trading post in his trailer. He has been a student at the Younger Academy for 3 years and has been live with a totally systematic approach since the beginning of 2023. However, he's no newcomer to trading, and his first discretionary trades date back to the early 2000s. After that, he moved away from trading a bit, but confessed to me that he has always been unprofitable when using a discretionary approach. So he was never thrilled with his live performances. He currently has a portfolio of about 15 strategies that he has selected from the Younger Academy databases, namely the $1 Million database and the Younger Personal database, as well as comparing and sharing strategies with other traders. He told me that no systems were actually developed by him, and that's proof you don't have to be a programmer to be a systematic trader. In addition, we talked about how he manages his portfolio of systems, which is currently managed manually, precisely because the number of strategies is not excessive. And basically, Enrico balances the different systems by considering the risk of each underlying instrument and the drawdown of each system. He then told me that he will have to switch modes in the future because he's currently cataloging the different systems in our databases. So he intends to add new systems, and as the number of systems increases, he will have to switch to a non-manual selection through software such as our Titan. His risk profile is conservative, all things considered, especially if we take into account the size of his portfolio. And the instruments used are the Mini SP500, Gasoline, which is a pretty tricky underlying instrument, let's say, because it's pretty big, meats, especially lean hogs, crude oil, and US and European bonds. He also pairs this futures portfolio with a stock portfolio he uses with Portfolio Trader. It's a reasonably simple stock portfolio based on one indicator, Larry Williams' famous RSI, which is performing well for him. He has confirmed that he has significantly benefited from the training in trading because, in his opinion, this is the only way to avoid mistakes that others have already made and to shorten an otherwise much longer learning curve considerably. Finally, I asked him for advice for those who are new to live trading. He told me that in his case, the most important thing is to prepare mentally for the first mistakes that will inevitably occur, and above all, to monitor the infrastructure. And that's why he advises starting slowly with a few systems. Get used to the idea of live trading from a psychological perspective, and especially a lot of discipline. One of his initial mistakes was intervening, turning on and off the systems manually. He couldn't completely detach himself from the management delegated to the machine. So discipline is certainly an essential aspect for Enrico. So, thank you very much, Enrico, for your time, and congratulations again on your achievements. Keep up the excellent work. Let's turn to the statement of Alessandro, who made a profit of €6,294 with a return of 25.58% and a drawdown of 10.56%. In this chart, we see the equity line, which is somewhat wobbly, let's say, in some places, but all in all, it is closing at the highs and has a good uptrend. What can I say? Again, a respectable performance. I would also like to point out a sharp ratio of 3.45%. We can see that Alessandro, who doesn't have an overly large trading account, mainly uses micro contracts like mini S&P, mini NASDAQ, mini crude oil, mini gold, etc. So, congratulations to you, Alessandro, because a 25% gain in 1 month is a remarkable achievement. Now, let's move on to the first woman who participated in our Trader of the Month contest, Rosella. Rosella managed to gain €475, equal to 18.18%, with a really low drawdown of just 2.95%. And this is a single-day drawdown. In this chart, we see the equity line. After an initial decline, the account trended up with remarkable regularity to eventually close at the highs for the month. Excellent work, Rosella. Rosella, who was also very kind, was available to share her experience with me. She's been a student at Unger Academy for about 2 years and has been live since February 2023. What amazed me about Rosella is the tremendous passion she has for trading. It's clear from her words that trading is something that she's passionate about, but not so much from a financial perspective, but more from the challenge towards the markets. And she uses a scientific approach, but she's also an engineer, so no wonder she loves to document so much. Indeed, she reads a lot, studies the markets, and analyzes the charts. That's just a sign of how passion can help you succeed in trading. She has a portfolio of about 40 active strategies selected by our Titan software, and they were developed either exclusively using the Unger method or by working with other Unger Academy students, and they are helping each other by exchanging strategies. So, outstanding job, Rosella. I know a trader's job is a lonely one, and often it's a good idea to compare ideas with other traders to gain new insights, because unity is strength. So I encourage all of you to do the same as Rosella, because you can only win. She has a medium risk profile because of the need for diversification. What does this mean? Because she does not have a huge account dedicated to trading, she is obliged to risk a little more than she would prefer to be able to put in enough strategies to achieve the desired diversification. The instruments used are mainly micro futures and also some stocks. As for the difficulties found along the way, she told me that she has been very annoyed with the release of market news lately. Specifically, she's referring to the false signals that can sometimes occur. So these wrong directions that the market sometimes takes based on news. And this is something that typically happens in breakout systems that are trying to follow the trend. So the market might start an abrupt movement, the breakout system goes in, and then almost immediately goes into stop loss. Those are the main difficulties that have occurred recently, but I wouldn't say in the last month if you look at the results. I also asked her to give some advice to all traders approaching live trading, and her advice undoubtedly refers to passion and study, the additional weapons that every trader has in their pocket. So, excellent job, Rosella. Congratulations to you as well, and keep up the good work. I hope to see you back on the chart soon. And now to the winner of the contest, Antonio, who earned just over €10,000 in June, which is an incredible return of 47.22% on his account. Quite remarkable, especially considering the drawdown of 8.11%. If we look at the equity line trend, we see that it is very regular, and the performance of the indexes when compared to those in Antonio's account disappear. By the way, I would point out a sharp ratio of 6.95%. Antonio, many compliments, excellent job. Nearly 50% in 1 month is truly an outstanding achievement, especially considering Antonio has only been a student at Unger Academy for less than a year. So in 1 year, he was able to apply various concepts, develop systems, and go live. A remarkable commitment. Brave Antonio, who confessed to me that Unger Academy was a last resort for him. He had decided to quit trading when things weren't going well because he had basically never been profitable. Antonio already traded in the past, mainly in the discretionary trader mode, and mostly in the cryptocurrency markets. And he found in Unger Academy the help that allowed him to become profitable in the markets for the first time. He has a portfolio of 20 strategies that he has developed using the Unger method and our Composer software that he applied to our YouTube videos. You know that we often give trading insights on YouTube, and Antonio used Composer to reverse engineer the hints we gave on YouTube and create new trading strategies. Finally, he also used the Unger method as a filter for trading formulas taken from some books. He mentioned, if I remember correctly, a book by George Pruitt. So, bravo, Antonio. You also use the Unger method differently than how we usually teach it. Nevertheless, we know these are trading filters that can be applied to codes written according to different strategies. What instruments does Antonio use? Well, he uses micro futures, especially on crude oil, gold, mini SP, NASDAQ, and DAX. However, he also trades meats. Now, there are no micros for meats, but they are relatively small contracts that can be used on accounts that aren't too capitalized. He has good live performances, so he is happy with his results since he started. However, he has had a difficult start, especially in the first month. And in fact, he told me that he would advise beginners not to be discouraged by the first few losses, which can happen in the early stages, but have been abundantly overcome in his case. I then asked Antonio if he had a favorite system among the various systems he had developed. He told me the DAX bias, which is a very reliable reoccurring market behavior. If you haven't already done so, I recommend you look at the biases on DAX because you can figure out some exciting systems. And then he told me about a breakout system for the NASDAQ that was interestingly derived from a system he had initially developed for Bitcoin. In conclusion, he advised those approaching live trading to start slowly with an appropriate portfolio. In this regard, the most important thing for Antonio is to be able to handle drawdowns under stress. Sometimes we see drawdowns in backtests, but we're inclined to think that they may come far in the future or never. In real life, this isn't the case, and they may even occur at the beginning of our activity. That's why it's correct to right-size the position, especially in the early stages when you don't have the hang of systematic trading and live trading yet. Thank you, Antonio, for your suggestions, and congratulations again on your amazing achievements. Well, if your goal is to achieve results like the ones we've just seen, and maybe in the process enter this contest dedicated exclusively to Unger Academy students for a chance to win a €1,000 Amazon voucher every month, click on the link below. It will take you to a page where you'll find the contest rules, and from there, if you wish, you can book a free consultation with one of our tutors who will give you all the information that you need. Finally, I'd like to remind you to please support us by subscribing to our channel, clicking on the notification bell, and, if you like the video, leaving a like. That's it for today. We'll see you in our next video.